Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Athlete Podcast brought to you by Sports for Champions. I'm today joined by Adam Tobin. Adam, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very good. So Adam is a Team GB gymnast and he's joining the Sports for Champions athlete partnership to basically go and visit schools in the future now. So Adam, I think we go back really and sort of start at the very beginning. How did you get into being a gymnast?
So my mother was a gymnast and she trained throughout her childhood. She didn't get to a high level, but she did it for passion and for physical fitness really. And later on in her life, she had me and two other brothers who were older than me. And it got us into it. But I was the one that was running around the house and bouncing off walls and doing all sorts of stuff. So she got me into it, and loved the sport, loved that physical side of it. And now it was mainly talent that brought to a lot of people's attention that maybe I could, do something out of this.
Yeah. So you two brothers, they still doing a bit of gymnast?
No. So my eldest brother, he's 30 years old, and my middle brother's 27.
Yeah.
And they've got full-time jobs now. One's a fireman, one's a paramedic.
Oh, so. Yeah. No, it's in the emergency services, so yeah, respect. In terms of gymnasts, I guess, I mean, you look at someone sort of similar age to me. I didn't really have a way of getting into gymnastics. If even if that was something that I wanted to do when I was younger, especially it was seen of when I was younger as well, more of like a girls' sport to do. Is that something that you sort of noticed as you were going up through it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, back then, even now, like, it can be seen as a girl's sport.
Yeah.
I got told that a lot when I was a kid, as anyone can imagine, wearing leotards and whatnot. I mean, as a kid, being like seen wearing that, it's tough. But it was tough. It wasn't. I didn't have it so bad, but it was like it was there.
Yeah.
And like I was aware of it. But like I love the sport and I still do, and I wasn't embarrassed to wear it because I could do stuff that other people couldn't do. So, and I was like proud to do that, and it made me happy.
Absolutely, I think that's always obviously the way to look at it, isn't it? Obviously you're going to be going into schools, the rest of this academic year, next year, and the future as well. And I think getting that participation level in boys in gymnastics and things, and even obviously girls as well, but especially boys, I think that's going to be sort of something that I think you'll notice as well. There's a lot of children now, boys and girls, are starting to take up these sports which were predominantly years ago sort of gender exclusive sports. So I think that's obviously really good. So if we look at your actual your sport day to day, you're an all-round gymnast, so just tell us a little bit about what that involves.
So as an all-round gymnast, you compete on all 6 events, and from each event you get a score, and that combines to your final score from all 6 events. It's a lot tougher than just doing one apparatus, because when you're doing one apparatus, you solely train in that apparatus, and it's a different sort of fitness, a different sort of strength. So when you're an all-round gymnast, you've got to have all those different attributes on different pieces physically, so you can do all round. It's definitely tough. It's not, especially when you get older as well. I mean, I'm 24 now, I'm still doing all round, but I know I can still provide good gymnastics in that area, and I'm not ready to look at just participating in 1 or 2 events. But yeah, from the physical aspect, it's very different than doing one event.
So what made you want to go down the all-round aspect rather than, we speak to a lot of athletes, a lot of gymnasts, where they're like, I only do rings, or they only do is it the high bar and things like that. What made you want to go down all round for everything?
So when you start to get into gymnastics as a kid, you're always dipping your toe in all the apparatus, and not until you're about 18, 19 you sort of realize you're good at just 1 or 2 events. When you're a kid and you're a teenager, you're growing up and you're always doing all 6. That's just the way you're brought into that sport. You don't walk into the sport and then just do one apparatus. The coach will always like help you on each apparatus, because that's pretty much gymnastics. And I got to about Probably it must have been 18. I'm like, my body's developing and I'm going through stuff everyone goes through, and like I was just average on each piece. I wasn't good at just one or two pieces. So for me, doing all 6 was the right call, and it still is now, because my body can still physically do those pieces. So if I can still do them, then I'm going to still train them, and until the day comes, which hopefully it doesn't, I'll stick to doing all 6.
Absolutely. In terms of your actual sport, I know we spoke a little bit before about your favourite and then your least favourite apparatus as well. What would you say is your favourite if you had to just pick one and you were getting pushed down that, we want you to be a specialist? What would you choose?
The high bar.
High bar. Is there any reason in particular for that?
I've been told that I've got quite good style on the high bar in certain skills, and in my opinion, I've got all the right attributes on the high bar to make me a specialist. For example, like releasing catches, turns and dismounts, and I've got all of them. Some people struggle with turns, some people struggle with releases, but personally I feel like I have all the right attributes to, if I want to go down that route of just doing that piece.
Yeah. I guess on the flip side, if you could pick one that was no longer included, what would it be? Vault, is it? Yeah. Why is that?
Like I said, like for me, I've stuck to a vault now, which I know it will probably be my vault for the end of my career. I can't see myself progressing on that piece. I just physically don't feel like I can do anything better than what I'm doing now. And as an all-rounder, the vault I have is pretty average for an all-rounder to have, and I'm happy to compete that vault.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess a little bit away from your sport. We spoke a little bit previously as well about some hobbies and interests that you have, and big into your surfing.
Yeah.
Has it always been surfing? Because obviously you were raised in sort of like Devon, weren't you?
Yeah.
So is it just strictly through that, or are you still trying to do it now? Are you based in the Midlands, or?
I mean, when I go back to Devon, I'm always looking at the surf like, oh, I could catch a few waves today. But yeah, like my family did it. They brought me up with that sport. Now it was a hobby for most people back then, but it's a sport now. But it's just something. It's just relaxing, like just catching a wave. It's just like you're just in the water. You're not near anyone. You're just out there by yourself and just having a good time. Yeah, it really helped me relax, and I'll continue to do that for the rest of my time. But yeah, as a kid, my family did it. They brought me up through that way. My brothers are very good at it. They're always traveling to different countries and catching different waves in different areas. But my family brought me up in that environment.
Is that obviously surfing's again something that is very regional, isn't it? Because obviously in the Midlands you're going to struggle to surf as much. But is it something that obviously when you moved up, you're missing being able to just go down and have a surf?
Yeah, more so. I mean, when I was younger, I could train and then go home and surf. Yeah. Now, I just don't think I physically could. I'd just be exhausted.
Yeah.
So my head's more focused on gymnastics, and I moved up here solely for gymnastics in my career. So I don't think about it too much. But like when I get a taste of it again, like it is hard to just like forget about it. Like it is such a good feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's a struggle to go surfing up in the Midlands.
Yeah, definitely not easy. So take us through a normal sort of training day for you. Because obviously I know how many days a week are you training at the minute?
6 days.
6 days a week. Yeah. What's your rest day usually?
Rest day Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Maybe a Wednesday, but like it would be a very light session on a Wednesday.
Yeah. That's really common. Obviously, I always ask what days they rest. Everyone seems to be Sundays. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
So yeah, take us through, I guess, a normal week of your training.
A normal week. Okay, so Mondays would be just one session. It would normally be to wake up the body, get ready for the week after a day off. About 4 hours in the gym, sometimes 3 if
just
we've done
just a light 4 hours in the gym. Yeah.
It's nuts to think that. Like 4 hours is like solid for a Monday.
Yeah.
Tuesdays are normally the heaviest day for me. it would be a double session. So we'd start at 1 p.m. till about 4 p.m, have an hour's break, and then do maybe a couple more hours after that in the gym. And then I would go to the weights gym after that to do, just weights training and rehab for injuries and stuff like that. So yeah, that's probably my heaviest day of the week. Wednesday is more like a Monday, just a light day, not doing too taxing on the body, just ticking over things that need to be ticking over. Thursday is a little bit similar to Tuesday. It would be a double session, no weights training after that though. Friday, similar to a Monday, but still a bit more intense than a Wednesday. And Saturday would be 4 or 5 hours in the gym, and we would finish off that day with some conditioning that would sort of like just to finish you off for the week really.
Yeah.
And then I would go to the weights gym after that again, just to finish off the physical weight training.
Yeah, well, brilliant. So if we look at the week, obviously it's a very sort of heavy week.
Yeah.
Is that training changed since you were younger? Is that something that you've always done, you've kept at it, or is it constantly changing and adjusting as you get older, you learn more about your body and that?
Definitely constantly changing.
Yeah.
When I was younger, you would start with maybe like 5 hours a week, and then obviously the coach will progress that to maybe 6 or 7. But I would say from around probably 9 years old, I was doing double sessions. Not every day, maybe once a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the start of like, okay, this is going to be something for the future. And it progressed through then, and it keeps dipping up and down. It definitely changes. I'm getting older now, but yeah, dips up and down.
Yeah. Is that something that now you're older, obviously, is there any point of where you start to feel a little bit burnt out, because obviously you've been doing it for so many years, and if so, how do you sort of manage that burnt out feeling?
Recovery is key.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to learn that more as I get older, but like eating right, sleeping right, hydration, ice baths if necessary, sauna, like just making sure you're getting it all in so the body is ready to go the next day, especially after a tough day like a Tuesday or a Thursday or Saturday. Like,
yeah, but I think it's really interesting to touch upon like nutrition. What's your sort of go-to meal? Do you know sort of how many calories you're intaking protein wise? Are you're not interested in that? Do you just eat what you're told to eat? How do you attack it?
Calories I'm not too interested about, but like making sure I don't feel too heavy for a session, especially because it's like you're lifting your body weight essentially. So like morning I would have like porridge with some fruit. Lunchtime, like a light meal, maybe like some couscous and tuna. And then in a lunch break, same again, like couscous, tuna, or like overnight oats. And then in the evening, quite a big meal, like chicken, rice, broccoli, and then maybe some yogurt to finish off.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's eating clean, obviously important for you. If you were, you had to pick a cheat day, a cheat meal, what's your go-to for that?
You know what? It'd just be a burger. It's just a simple burger, like not McDonald's, maybe like Five Guys or something.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. The Five Guys is obviously, that's a couple of people have picked that as their cheat meal as well. Okay, so in terms of your actual competing as well, you do talk to us a little bit about the seasons and how that works for you. Is it sort of year round? Is it in smaller periods?
Yeah, so the way our season works in Britain is we will probably compete in March, April, May time, and then throughout the summer there might be 1 or 2 competitions. You don't have to do, it's optional. And at the end of the year is World Championships. So you've got this period of like the start of the year of intense training to get fit and then to compete, and then middle of the year where you can lay off a little bit. There's not much you can do, but you don't have to. And then obviously at the end of the year is the World Championships. So for us, we've got 2 majors in the year. We've got Europeans, which is normally about April, May time, and then World Champs, which is about October time. So ideally, if you're aiming to go to those 2 majors, you want to be really smart about which period in the year you're going to push to qualify for that. If it's the middle of the year, then you would sort of I mean, you can like push the competitions at the start of the year, but it's important to give your body the necessary rest and the mind as well, and just take some time away from training, and just so you're itching to get back into the gym. Because sometimes, like, I've done it myself, I've trained throughout the whole year and I'm just drained, like mentally drained, physically drained. I haven't given myself the rest I needed. So that was a big learning curve for me. Yeah,
I think obviously it's important. We always talk about, you know, training, and we talk about other things, and, you know, nutrition and everything like that. I think rest is a big one that obviously athletes like yourselves always mention to us, is sleep, you know, hydration, and just giving, even just like you said, your mind just time to go surfing, or you know, you've been on skateboarding as well when you're younger, and things like that. It does definitely help your sort of performance afterwards as well. Obviously you're still quite young. I mean, you're a young man in but they say gymnastics, obviously it's a young game, isn't it? So obviously you're sort of approaching your prime now as well. What's the sort of next sort of 2-3 years look like in an ideal world for you?
For me, is making teams. So to make the team, you have to hit scores, you have to qualify through domestic competitions like English championships, British championships. So for me, it's about getting myself on that team so I can go to these majors. For example, like May, there's a European Championships. There's 5 in a team, 1 specialist, and there's about 20 guys on the national team. So it's about being smart and strategic on which competition you're going to try and push, and which competitions you're just going to try and get through the competition and get a good all-around score. But Europeans, World Championships, Commonwealth Games we talked about next year in Glasgow, and then obviously the LA Olympics, which is the ultimate goal, but that's further down the line. But I think the main focus for me now is just making the teams and just being an anchor for Britain.
Absolutely. One thing that I always find really interesting, especially in something like gymnastics as well, obviously you're all a team, you're all training together in most scenarios, and then when the teams pick to go to these competitions, they're basically your first sort of opponent, really, aren't they? Because you're all vying to try and get on the team. How is that dynamic in the gym? Is there any sort of weird feelings when it starts to come to selection time, or is it all, you all know you're there for the same reason? We all know we want what we all want. Like, it's ultimately you want to go to the Olympics, you want to make teams, you want to be part of that. But when it comes to national training, like, it's just like, it's nice to see everyone. We're all training together. We know what it takes to get to certain competitions and what this sport does to you physically and mentally, but we're all there for like each other. Like, it's a nice feeling. But like when it comes up to competitions, you know, like, you're going to be against each other, but it's healthy sport. It's not negative. It's good competition. I think that's obviously very important, isn't it? You know, in team sports where there are really individual elements like yours, it's important to have that good sort of support network as well. One thing that we do like to speak to athletes about as well is sort of the mental side of sport, because I think that's something really important that doesn't really get brought up a lot. Obviously you guys are competing week in, week out, and everyone sees your results, whereas you know, for the regular person in work, you know, it's between them and the employer or school, you know, them and the teachers. You guys are doing it all in the public eye. Was that something that was difficult to adjust to, or is that, you know, how does that make you feel, really?
For me, I truly believe that it's all mental. Like, when it comes down to sport, like, you've got to deal with pressure. You've got to get up in the morning and go to training. Sometimes motivation isn't going to be there, and you've got to rely on discipline. Like, it's all mental, and it will continue to be that for anyone. The physical side of things, very important, but mental is just as important. But like, when it comes down to competitions, you've got to deal with anxiety and nerves and pressure. Like, this could be your final chance to make the Olympics, for example. Like, you got to deal with it all up in here. Like, it's not just physical, although that is a very, like, good part to play, but mental side of things is It's very important for me personally.
Yeah. How do you control your emotions when you're leading up to big championships?
So I don't know if my family notice it. They probably do, but I sort of tend to push people away.
Yeah.
For selfishly, because in my mindset, I'm just solely focused on the competition.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a bit of anxiety, with nerves, and I'm trying to like sort myself out so I'm ready to put my hand up and compete. And then after the competition, like, I'm a family guy, like, see everyone, but like, yeah, I don't push them away in a bad way. Just like I'm very short. Like I feel like they notice it more so now. But I do a lot of breathing as well, and just really calming myself down and just making sure that when I go into the competition, my head's not thrown off by anything, and I'm relaxed and I'm ready to go and perform from the work that I've trained for.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, isn't it? You've put the work in, and it's remembering all the work you've done to that point. You can sort of feel like you've not prepared, but obviously you have, and there's a reason why you have, and there's a reason why you're there. And I think that's something people can take in all walks of life, not only just like athletes, people who play recreational sports or work or are in school. I think remembering the steps you've taken to get to that point is obviously very important, and you are prepared for the moment. You just gotta take it. Okay, so final sort of few bits. One thing that I think is really interesting is injuries and how you come back, especially in gymnastics, where it's such a short career span, and you're at such massive risk of injury, whether that be through twisting or falling. Obviously you tore your shoulder. How did you tear your shoulder?
On the rings.
On the rings.
Classic, really.
Yeah. So is that obviously well known as being a bit
very well known?
Yeah. Because I mean the moves that you're doing, it doesn't look. Your shoulder's not supposed to twist like that, is it? You chose to not go surgery and instead do sort of rehab yourself.
Yeah.
How come you decided to go that route?
Part of it was because I genuinely believed that I could get through this by doing rehab, and just like I had a lot of belief that I could do it. And the other part of it was the doctor told me that you're not, like, it's not 100% you'll make it back to what you were doing before when you didn't have the injury. So it was a big risk to take, and I've known people who have had surgery and have made it back, but I'm not them and they're not me, so you never know. But yeah, like the main part, like just plotting out rehab and making sure I'm doing it and being disciplined with it, like long days. Long days of doing rehab, and it's endless, and I'm still doing it now, even though it is feeling better. But like, it just goes to show, like, if you believe that you can do something, like, it will happen. You just manifest it and just believe and crack on, get your head down and go to work. And that's what I did, and I'm here now, and I'm back on rings.
Yeah. With that first time back on the rings, was there any sort of any like trepidation, or were you a bit nervous, or?
I was nervous. Like, I didn't just jump up on the rings and start cracking out things I was doing before the injury. Like, I slowly built myself back into it. I didn't want to, like, knacker it again straight away. Like, maybe I would start like just like in support or hanging or doing a little swing, and then next thing you know, I'm getting the coach supporting me for certain strength elements, and then the swing element. That's probably the main one that knackers my body, especially my back as well. Like bailing from a handstand, and then the bottom bit is just so much like going through your back and your shoulders too. So yeah, I slowly adjusted back to the rings, and here I am.
So far so good.
So far so good.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
Okay. So we like to finish on just basically a simple question, probably a question that you're going to get as you visit schools as well. If a child was to come up to you and say, I want to be like you, I want to get into gymnastics, what advice would you give them on how to get to where you are?
Learn when to take a break.
Oh, okay. What do you mean by
that? When you dedicate yourself to a sport, and like gymnastics is very intense on the body and the mind, it's important to have that balance. And if you don't have that balance, you can just run yourself out and you might look at the sport in a negative way. So it's important to, throughout your career, to make sure you take breaks and put yourself first before the sport, and make sure you're okay physically and mentally, and then return to the sport ready to go.
I think that's great advice. So that's going to be everything today.
Brilliant.
It's been great talking to you. Really looking forward to see where you progress in your career as well, and hopefully we get to lots of schools, inspire lots of children as well coming up. So thank you all for watching, everyone. That was the Athlete Podcast with Adam, and I'll see you all next time.